In the ancient kingdom of Atheron, love between a princess and a commoner was considered treason. Yet Princess Lyra found her heart stolen by Kale, a sculptor who carved her likeness into marble with a tenderness that defied the coldness of royalty. When the king discovered their secret meetings, Kale was condemned to die at dawn, and Lyra was ordered to wed a warlord for alliance. But Lyra's love burned brighter than fear. With the help of an old architect who once designed the castle's foundations, she found a forgotten labyrinth of tunnels buried deep below the royal chambers. As the bells of execution rang, she descended into darkness with only a flickering lantern. There, she found Kayla bruised, desperate, but alive. Together, they fled through winding passages echoing with centuries of ghosts.
Above them, soldiers scoured every road, believing the lovers had drowned themselves in the river.
In truth, they emerged miles away, into a hidden valley veiled by fog. Years later, travelers told tales of a temple built from white stone, guarded by statues of two lovers holding hands. Some swore the statues were once alive, Lyra and Kale, who cheated death beneath the earth and found eternity in each other's arms. In the golden desert city of Kerith, built upon layers of forgotten ruins, lived Selene, daughter of a powerful governor, and Taryn, a lowly slave who maintained the city's water tunnels. Their love was a forbidden song, sung only in whispers beneath the streets where no sunlight reached. There, among dripping walls and flickering torches, they met night after night, hidden from a world that would tear them apart. When Selene's father arranged her marriage to a foreign prince, despair consumed her. Taryn promised escape, revealing a network of forgotten passages beneath the palace that led to the desert beyond. 4 weeks, they planned marking symbols on the walls, mapping shadows, and hiding supplies underground. But treachery struck. A servant betrayed them, and soldiers sealed the tunnels, collapsing the exits. Taryn was caught and presumed dead.
Selene wept in silence until, on the eve of her wedding, she heard 3 knocks beneath her chamber floor.
Taryn had survived, digging for days to reach her once more. That night, they vanished without a trace. Centuries later, explorers found carvings deep below Carathu, hands joined beneath the words. Love built this passage, not stone. And so the secrets of the lovers' hidden tunnels lived forever in myth. In a time when gods ruled both life and death, the goddess Nemera guarded the souls of mortals. None could return once they crossed her shadowed realm. But the priestess Mira refused to accept such law when her beloved Arios, a warrior of her temple, was slain in battle. Her grief consumed her until she dared to perform the forbidden rites of resurrection beneath the temple as crypt. On the 7th night of her chance, the air shimmered, and Arios appeared, bound in ghostly chains. Nemera's voice thundered through the catacombs, shaking the earth. "You defy me, mortal priestess.
Release him, or share his doom." But Mira stepped forward, touching Arios's cold hand.
"Then let our doom be love eternal," she whispered. The goddess, moved, yet enraged, cursed them both. Their bodies dissolved into mist,
fusing with the underworld's river.
Yet from that night on, sailors crossing the dark seas swore they saw 2 figures walking upon the waves under red moonlight, forever holding hands, whispering each other's names. Temples rose in their memory, not of worship but of warning, that even gods cannot chain true love. They became legend, the lovers who dared to defy the gods and triumphed over death itself. The kingdom of Dravenholt was torn by endless war. Elandra, the general's daughter, was born into privilege and blood, yet her heart belonged to Corin, a captured spy whose courage outshone any noble's pride. Their secret love was discovered, and Corin was sentenced to die at sunrise. But love makes rebels of even the purest heart. Under moonlight, Elandra bribed a guard and ascended into the old crypts beneath the fortress. The air was thick with dust and decay as she unlocked Corin's chains and led him through tunnels lined with ancient tombs. The sound of dripping water and distant drums followed them like ghosts. Soldiers discovered their escape and stormed the catacombs. Corin, wounded by a spear, urged Elandra to leave him. But she refused. Supporting his weight, she pushed open a stone slab that led them into the open forest. For a moment, they were free. At dawn, Corin's life faded in her arms. She buried him beneath a willow, carving their names into its trunk. Decades later, when the forest was cleared, the tree's roots revealed two skeletons' hands entwined, still embracing. The people whispered that even in death, their buried hearts beat as one, forever beyond the reach of kings. Beneath the island fortress of Almora, a labyrinth of secret tunnels wound deep into the cliffs built long ago by kings who feared betrayal. Only one man knew every passage. The royal architect, Marcellus. His daughter, Isola, fell deeply in love with Rainer, a knight sworn to protect the queen. Their meetings were stolen between shadows and silence, hidden beneath the castle's grand halls. When the queen discovered their affair, rage turned to cruelty. Rainer was sentenced to death, and Isola was locked in her tower. But she knew every secret of the tunnels her father built. As thunder rolled over the sea, she escaped, guiding Rainer into the winding dark. They wandered for days through passages carved into the rock, pursued by soldiers. Finally, they reached a sealed stone door, etched with ancient runes, the mark of lovers who had vanished centuries before. Together, they opened it and entered a hidden chamber, glowing with pale light, its walls covered in murals of eternal love.
There, they vowed never to return.
When the soldiers broke through weeks later, the chamber was empty only. Two stone figures stood side by side, hands forever clasped. The islanders still call it the Forbidden Tunnel of Eternal Love, where mortal hearts became legend. In the marble city of Theros, death was not a mystery, it was a law. Every citizen's time of passing was carved into stone tablets by the priests of fate. When Callan, a soldier, fell in love with the daughter of a high priest, their love defied that law, for his fate was to die in the next lunar cycle. Unable to accept his destined death, Illyra searched forbidden archives and discovered an ancient ritual, one that could hide a soul from death's shadow.
On the night marked by the moon's eclipse,
She led Callan deep into the catacombs beneath the temple, where the air smelled of dust and prophecy. There! She drew symbols of protection and bound their hearts with a blood oath. When death came to claim him, the priests found Callan's body cold, yet his spirit was gone. Illyra vanished the same night. Some say the lovers entered a secret passage that led them beyond the realm of time. Others claim their spirits merged, forming the twin lights that still appear above Theros every year on the eclipse. The people remember them as the lovers who fooled death's shadow, proving that destiny itself can be rewritten by love.
in the empire of Raventhorn, slaves were buried alive with their masters, a cruel ritual to serve them in the afterlife.
When the noble Lady Elena fell in love with her bodyguard, Derek, she knew their love would lead to ruin.
But fate turned darker when her husband, a dying lord, decreed that Derek must be entombed beside him.
The night before the burial, Elena bribed the tomb builders and learned of a secret drainage tunnel hidden beneath the burial chamber. As the funeral procession began, Derek was laid beside the corpse of his former master, his breath held beneath the burial shroud. When night fell and the mourners departed, Elena slipped into the tomb, torch in hand, trembling.
She broke the seals of the sarcophagus and freed Derek,
leading him through the dark tunnel as the air grew thin and cold. Behind them, the tomb collapsed, a perfect illusion of death. They emerged miles away in a mountain gorge, reborn under the starlit sky. Centuries later, travelers found inscriptions on a cave wall that read, "Beneath the tomb, love found freedom." Thus lived the legend of love beneath the tomb, a tale whispered wherever hope defies the grave. During the reign of the Iron Duke, love between classes was forbidden. Yet, in the city of Eldenford, Mira, a healer's apprentice, fell in love with Lucan, a nobleman promised to another. Their meetings took place in an ancient tunnel system once built to hide plague victims, a forgotten world beneath cobblestones and silence. When their secret was uncovered, Lucan's family demanded his execution to protect their honor. Mira was to be banished forever. On the eve of judgment, she discovered a map carved into the floor of the tunnel, an escape route leading beneath the river to a ruined monastery beyond the city. As the bells of dawn rang, Soldiers stormed their hiding place, but when they reached the tunnel's end, it had caved in. No bodies were found. For generations afterward, people spoke of strange lights glowing under the river on quiet nights, as if two souls still wandered there together. When the monastery was finally unearthed, centuries later, explorers found two stone coffins side by side, engraved with the words, "Not hidden, just free." And so, their legend lived on the secret passage that saved two souls, proof that love can find light even in the deepest dark. In a small mountain kingdom, a young miner named Eros fell in love with Liana, the Duke's only daughter. Their meetings were stolen moments in the mine's labyrinth of tunnels, far from the world that forbade their union. But when Liana's engagement was announced to a foreign prince, their secret fell into ruin.
The Duke ordered the mines sealed, trapping Eros forever beneath the earth.
Heartbroken, Liana begged the gods for mercy, but none answered. In despair, she entered the mines alone, guided only by a lantern and the faint echo of Eros's voice calling her name. 4 days she searched the endless dark until she found him alive, weak and trembling. Together, they ventured deeper into the mine, following a wind that whispered of freedom. Then, suddenly, a collapse sealed the tunnel behind them. Neither was ever seen again.
Years later, miners reopening the old shafts claimed to hear soft voices in the dark, two lovers whispering promises, their laughter echoing faintly through stone.
The tunnels were abandoned again, marked with a single inscription. They vanished, but love did not.
Thus began the legend of Whispers in the Dark, a story of devotion too strong for death to silence.
The city of Varelia was built atop cliffs where traitors were thrown into the sea. When Saren, a rebel poet, was captured for speaking against the crown, he was sentenced to die. But the princess, Ilara, whose heart he had unknowingly stolen with his verses, couldn't let him perish. On the night of his execution, Ilara bribed the guards and led him through a passage beneath the prison on ancient aqueduct, forgotten by time.
Waves thundered through narrow stone corridors as they ran, their torches flickering, hearts racing.
Behind them, shouts and steel filled the air. When they reached the final gate, Saren saw that the only exit led straight to the open sea. With soldiers closing in, they leapt from the cliffs together, vanishing into the waves. For years, many believed they had drowned. Yet fishermen whispered of a hidden cove far along the coast, where two strangers built a cottage and lived in peace until old age. Long after they were gone, a poem was found carved into the cliffside.
Love was our rebellion.
The sea, our witness! And so their tale became eternal. The lovers' escape that became a legend, where freedom was bought with courage and devotion.
In the ancient city of Dilthara, a place where death was worshipped as a god,
lived Orion, a young scholar obsessed with life's mysteries, and Ceres, the high priest's daughter. Their love was forbidden specially because Ceres was consecrated to the god of the underworld himself.
When Orion fell gravely ill, Ceres defied her father's will and performed the secret ritual of passage,
guiding his spirit down into the shadowed realms. She vowed to bring him back, no matter the cost. Torch in hand, she entered the temple's deepest catacomb, where black water flowed like veins through the earth.
There she found Orion's spirit standing before the Gate of Shadows.
The god of death appeared, cloaked in mist, and demanded her own life in exchange. Ceres agreed without hesitation.
But her sacrifice broke the laws of the underworld. The gate shattered, freeing them both.
When dawn rose, the temple's priests found their chambers empty.
Yet two bodies lay entwined beneath the catacombs, smiling in eternal rest. It is said that beneath Othara, a narrow tunnel still glows faintly with blue light, the secret route through the underworld where two lovers walked back from death together. During the plague of Averin, death crept through the streets like smoke. Leora, the healer's daughter, spent her days burying the dead until she found Rin, a wounded soldier left behind by fate. Though the sickness surrounded them, love bloomed in the ruins. When the city was quarantined, Leora and Rin were sealed within its walls. But beneath Averin ran an old aqueduct, one that legend claimed led to the Valley of Dawn. They ventured below, armed only with torches and faith, navigating dripping tunnels where bones lay scattered.
Behind them, the Reapers seemed to follow, whispering their names through the dark.
Rin grew weaker, and Leora begged the gods to spare him. She promised her own life for his, but instead, the plague spared them both. When the survivors later returned, they found the city silent but beneath its streets.
2 figures were discovered hand in hand, resting peacefully in the dry tunnels.
People said death came for them, but lost its way. To this day, the tunnels are called the Passage of the Lovers Who Cheated the Reaper,
where devotion burned brighter than the plague's shadow and love proved immortal.
Across kingdoms,
Bards tell stories of 3 pairs of lovers who defied the grave.
the first were Arion and Celis, who drank a potion meant to kill them both but woke, 3 days later, their hearts beating as one. The second, Mael and Kyra, hid in the catacombs of their enemies, only to emerge years later, aged not a day. And the third, Varen and Elsha, were buried alive yet escaped through a serpent's tunnel that led to the sea. Historians call these tales fantasy, but in the ruins of Eldara, strange carvings prove otherwise. Deep below an ancient temple, inscriptions depict 6 hands joined around a single flame, a symbol of eternal life.
Legend says that when the lovers' souls met the god of death, he offered them a choice: to live 1 lifetime apart or 1 eternity together beneath the earth.
They chose eternity. Each year, during the lunar eclipse, faint singing can be heard echoing from the ruins, a chorus of the ancient lovers who outsmarted death, reminding mortals that the heart's promise cannot be buried, no matter how deep the tomb. The tomb of King Arvin was famed for its curses. It was said that any who disturbed his rest would join him in death. Yet curiosity drew Nerys, a tombkeeper's daughter, and Dalen, a historian, to explore its forbidden chambers. Together, they sought treasure but found something greater: each other. For months, they worked in secret, uncovering golden halls and whispering through candlelight. But when the king's guards discovered them inside the royal crypt, they sealed the tomb to prevent blasphemy. Trapped underground, the lovers refused to despair. Using ancient inscriptions, they uncovered a small passage hidden behind the king's sarcophagus. 4 days, they crawled through darkness, surviving on rainwater that dripped from cracks above.
When Dalen fell ill, Nerys carried him on her back, whispering that love was stronger than death.
They finally emerged beneath the night sky, breathless and free. Years later, when the tomb was reopened, only a single carving was found near the hidden passage. 2 figures holding hands beneath the words, "We never meant to die here." The legend of the hidden tomb lovers spread across kingdoms, a symbol of love's will to survive when even kings' curses could not. Beneath the old city of Rioni, where the dead were buried in catacombs stretching for miles, 2 lovers found sanctuary. Kasha, a noble's daughter, and Aaron, a stonemason, met while repairing the tunnels after a collapse. Among skulls and silence, their hearts found warmth. But Rioni was cruel to love that crossed social lines. When Cassia's father discovered their meetings, he ordered Aaron executed and sealed the catacombs. Yet, Cassia refused to live in a world that denied her heart. On the night of her wedding, she slipped away and entered the dark beneath her family's estate. Guided by memory, she reached the chamber where they had once met but found it empty. In despair,
She called Aaron's name, and from the shadows,
A voice answered.
he had survived, hiding among the tombs, carving a hidden door that led to freedom. They fled together through the tunnels and disappeared forever. When explorers rediscovered the catacombs centuries later, they found a carving near the exit, "We lived where others feared to die." And so, the tale of the secret lovers of the ancient catacombs endured proof that even among the dead, love still breathes. In the Empire of Tarion, love between noble and servant was punishable by death. Yet Lady Althea, daughter of a governor, loved Ryan, her personal guardian of courage and quiet eyes. They met in secret for years, hiding their love beneath masks of duty. But when the governor discovered them, he ordered Ryan's execution at sunrise and Althea's confinement to a tower. Desperate, Althea remembered an old tale her mother once told Hera's secret path below the earth, built by her ancestors to flee invaders. That night, as thunder rolled, she escaped her cell and freed Ryan from his chains. Together they descended through the tunnel's narrow throat, crawling through mud, water, and silence. The soldiers followed, sealing the exits behind them. Althea and Ryan wandered for days beneath the city, surviving on hope and drops of rain that seeped through cracks. Finally, they found a hidden spring that opened into the mountains beyond. The Empire called them dead, but travelers in the far north told stories of a noble woman and her guard who built a home inside a glowing cave where eternal torches never burned out. The people called it the path below the earth, where love escaped death's decree. In the twilight age of myths, Evanor and Kalira were inseparable, two souls bound since childhood. When Kalira was chosen as a priestess for the god Zahal, she was forbidden to love any mortal man. But the night before her consecration, Evanor and Kalira fled into the forest, swearing they would never be apart. The gods, enraged by their defiance, unleashed a storm that swallowed the mountains. Evanor was struck down, and Kalira cried out to the heavens, offering her soul in exchange for his life. Zahal appeared, amused by her devotion. "If you can bring him back without crossing Death's Gate, you both may live," he said. Kalira searched until she found an entrance to the underworld, a cavern hidden beneath the roots of the sacred tree.
She journeyed through realms of fire and shadow until she found Ivanor's spirit chained in darkness.
When she touched him, her love burned so fiercely that the chains shattered. The gods were tricked.
When dawn rose, the couple emerged from the cave, alive but forever marked by glowing eyes.
To this day, people in the valley whisper that the two lovers still walk among mortals, the ones who tricked the gods and lived. Across the windswept plains of Elinda, people tell stories of those who escaped the grave. None are as beloved as the tale of Kohan and Lyra, lovers buried alive for treason. Their only crime was loving across rival clans. When the chieftain ordered their execution, Kohan and Lyra were sealed inside a stone crypt, but the gods pitied them and sent a storm so fierce that lightning shattered the tomb's roof. Rainwater poured in, awakening them from near death. Using shards of bone, Kahan dug through the softened stone, while Lyra prayed for daylight. After days in darkness, they emerged. They wandered into exile, leaving carvings on rocks that told their story, a spiral symbolizing rebirth. Generations later, when the clans finally united, they found the lovers' graves high in the mountains. Carved above them were the words, "We escaped death, but not love." Their legend became a blessing spoken at weddings. May your hearts be as strong as Khan and Lyra S., who escaped the grave together. Beneath the Grand Palace of Sorath, an intricate tunnel network stretched beneath a throne room built centuries earlier to hide royal secrets. But one tunnel held a different story. It belonged to Prince Kale and Mira, a servant girl who captured his heart. For months, they met in the tunnel's quiet chambers, sharing stolen kisses among the torches. When Kale's father learned of the affair, he pretended to forgive his son, but secretly ordered Myra's death. A letter was forged, luring her into the tunnels one last time.
Kale arrived moments too late, finding her lifeless body at the edge of the hidden lake beneath the castle.
Heartbroken, he sealed the entrance forever and vanished. Years later, the palace fell to ruin. Explorers uncovered the tunnel and found carvings along the walls Mira's handwriting, revealing that she had known of the king's plan but met Kale anyway. Her final words were etched into the stone. "Let my lie save his life." They say Kale survived by her deception,
Living as a wanderer.
Thus the passage became known as the ancient tunnel of love and lies a monument to sacrifice disguised as betrayal. In the fortress city of Vandrel, walls were said to listen. Every whisper could be heard by spies hidden behind the stone. Yet somehow, two souls found privacy in the one place silence reigned. The catacombs below. Rhea, a noblewoman, was bound to marry a man twice her age. Her heart, however, belonged to Terran, a soldier who guarded her father's gate. For years they met among the tombs, where only the dead could hear them. When their affair was discovered, Terran was sentenced to hang. But on the night before his execution, Rhea bribed a mason to open a secret passage from his cell to the catacombs. At midnight, she freed him, and together they fled beneath the fortress, guided by the faint glow of moss along the walls. As dawn rose, soldiers found their cell empty and the tunnel sealed from within. No trace was ever seen again, and except the whispers. Those who visit the catacombs at night claim to hear two voices softly laughing in the dark. The people of Vandrel built a shrine in their honor and called it Whispers Beneath Stone, where lovers still pray for courage to defy fate itself. In the golden desert of Nerith, where sand buried forgotten kings, a forbidden romance blossomed between Prince Duran and Selena, the daughter of a temple guardian. Their love defied the gods, for royal blood was never meant to mingle with the sacred.
When the high priests discovered them, Duran was condemned to be mummified alive, entombed in silence.
Selena, heartbroken, drank a potion that feigned death and was buried beside him. Days later, she awoke in the darkness of the tomb, gasping for air. Weak but alive, she tore through the wrappings that bound Darenand to her shock. He opened his eyes too. His body had never truly died. The gods had preserved him in a sleep-like trance. Together, they escaped through a secret passage carved for royal escape, emerging beneath a full moon that lit the endless dunes.
When explorers later discovered the tomb centuries later, they found only 2 sets of footprints leading out and vanishing into the desert sands. Locals still say that on moonlit nights, 2 shadows wander the dunes hand-in-hand, lovers who awoke again in the hidden tomb.
In the misty kingdom of Velmar, the river Elise was believed to carry the souls of the dead to the afterworld. Yet for Elon and Mara, it became their escape route from death itself. Elon was a condemned rebel. Mara, the daughter of the general who ordered his death. On the eve of his execution, Mara drugged the guards and freed him from his cell. Together they fled to the riverbanks, where Elon had built a secret raft hidden under the reeds. As dawn broke, soldiers arrived, arrows raining from the cliffs. The lovers leaped into the current, vanishing beneath the mist. 4 days. No bodies were found, only their raft drifting miles downstream, empty. Years later, travelers told tales of a man and woman who ruled a small island at the River S. Mouth-kind rulers with strange accents and eyes full of sorrow. The people called them the River Souls. To this day, the River Elise is both feared and worshipped. It is said to carry away not only the dead but also those who loved so deeply that even death could not catch them. Long before maps were drawn, the kingdom of Thalassar ruled the ocean coasts. There, Princess Nyra loved Orin, a humble builder who crafted sea bridges for the king. When their secret was revealed, the king ordered Orin drowned and Nyra confined forever in the tower overlooking the sea. But Orin was clever. Before his capture, he had constructed a hidden bridge beneath the waves made of glassy coral and sealed air pockets, stretching from the tower's base to a distant island. The night before the execution, Nyra dove into the storming sea and followed the bridge's faint glow. On the other side, Orin waited, having escaped his guards. The two embraced as lightning split the horizon. When the storm cleared, both were gone.
The next morning, the tower had collapsed into the sea.
Fishermen still whisper of a glowing bridge seen beneath the waves on quiet nights, where 2 ghostly figures walk hand in hand. They call it the Lover's Bridge beneath the sea, where even the ocean could not drown their devotion. In the ancient empire of Atheris, there was a forbidden garden said to bloom only in darkness. It was there that Queen Lyrian met her secret, Luverdehen, a warrior from a rival land. Their love was dangerous, for her marriage to the old king bound her to his throne. When their affair was discovered, Terran was sentenced to die, and Lyrian to a lifetime of isolation. The night before his execution, she slipped through the palace corridors and found him chained beneath the moonlight. Together they fled into the garden, where black roses grew on vines that whispered. Legend said the flowers drank moonlight and hid those who sought refuge in love. As soldiers stormed the gates, the lovers held each other tight and vanished. Only petals remained, glowing faintly. The next morning, the garden was gone, replaced by a field of ash. But travelers who walk that land under the full moon claim to see a vast garden reappear for a single hour. In its center, two figures dance among the black roses, their queen and her warrior, eternal beneath the night. In the frozen north, where the Mount Verith spewed fire, a young miner named Kale fell in love with Eri, daughter of the mountain's priest. The mountain was sacred, no outsider was allowed near the priest's bloodline. When Kale and Ira were caught together, her father cursed them both. If you wish to love in fire, then burn for eternity. Soldiers hurled them into the volcano's pit, but instead of dying, they landed in a cavern lit by molten gold. There, a strange wind breathed life into them, and their bodies did not burn. The fire became their light, the heat their home. Years passed. Villagers began to see warm lights flicker beneath the mountain during blizzards. Some said they were lanterns. Others swore they were hearts still beating in flame. When the mountain finally went silent, explorers entered and found carvings along the walls. Our love burns, but never dies. To this day,
The people of Verith believe the volcano still glows because of them, the lovers who cheated death under the mountain.
in the ancient kingdom of Azelen, stargazing was forbidden to commoners. The heavens were considered sacred property of the royal family. Yet every night, Lyra, a poor astronomer, and Prince Iran, her secret admirer, met atop the temple tower to watch the constellations move. When their affair was exposed, the priests declared that Iran had defiled the heavens. He was sentenced to death, and Lyra was to be blinded so she could never see the stars again. But on the night of the execution, as the blade was raised, the sky erupted with a strange light. Witnesses claimed to see two beams, one gold, one silver, spurling upward into the heavens. The prince and Lyra vanished without a trace. Days later, a new constellation appeared above Azelen. Two stars locked together, glowing side by side. The priests named it the Lover's Crown. Even now, astronomers say that the two stars pulse in rhythm, as if hearts still beating among the cosmos.
Legend says when true lovers look upon them,
They whisper blessings from the sky, a love that cheated death by becoming eternal light. In the mist-covered land of Orvalis, there was a mirror said to show not one's reflection but the soul of their truest love.
Saren, a humble glassmaker's daughter, found it while restoring an old temple.
To her shock, the reflection was not her own, it was Cairn, a soldier who had died in war years before. Every night, she spoke to him through the glass. Over time, the boundary between worlds weakened. One moonless night, Cairn's hand reached out, warm and trembling.
But the gods forbade the dead to walk among the living, and the mirror began to crack.
To remain together, Saren broke the mirror completely, and in that moment, both vanished. When villagers entered the temple, they found only dust. Yet two shadows danced across the broken floor, as if alive. The temple became a place of pilgrimage for lovers who'd lost someone to death. They left mirrors there, hoping to see their beloved once more. And on rare nights, when moonlight strikes the shards just right, two figures can still be seen holding hands, day lovers who cross the reflection between life and death. In Arendor, destiny was written on scrolls guarded by monks of fate. Every life, every death recorded and sealed. But when Talia, a scholar, discovered her beloved Ryon was destined to die in the next lunar eclipse, she swore to rewrite his fate. Disguised as a novice, Talia infiltrated the Temple of Fate and found the sacred chamber. There, she located Ryan's, scroll-its ink still wet, whispering a prayer. She dipped her own blood into the quill and changed one word. Death became departure. When the monks discovered her, lightning split the temple roof. Scrolls scattered, fate itself unraveling.
Talia and Ryan fled into the mountains, where no one could find them.
Yet they were no longer mortal. The gods had marked them as anomalies, beyond destiny's reach. Centuries passed.
Travelers still find two statues standing at the temple's ruins, hands intertwined, eyes alive.
Some claim on eclipse nights, the statues vanish, returning as living shadows until dawn. Thus, the people of Arendor speak of the scroll that rewrote their fate, where love dared to change the will of heaven. In the shadowed valley of Carthan, A cruel tradition demanded that royal widows be buried alive with their dead kings. When Queen Arisha's husband died, she prepared to meet her fate. But her heart belonged not to the king, but to Talon, a soldier who once saved her from an ambush. As she descended into the burial chamber, Talon appeared disguised as a priest.
When the stone door closed behind them,
The guards sealed their tomb, never knowing it hid a secret passage built by Arisia's ancestors. They followed the tunnel downward until the air grew cold, and then upward again until they emerged in a hidden valley bathed in sunrise. The queen removed her crown and threw it into the river. "Let the dead keep their gold," she said.
they lived there for years, unseen, raising a family whose bloodline became the farmers of the valley. Centuries later, when archaeologists opened the tomb,
They found it empty, except for one inscription. "We found sunrise beneath the stone." Their story became a symbol of hope, the tomb that led to dawn instead of death. In a forgotten age of magic, a sorcerer named Karen fell in love with Lyra, a mortal woman cursed to die young. He searched every spell and star chart, desperate to outwit time itself. Finally, he found a forbidden incantation that could freeze a single moment forever. As Lyra's final breath approached, Karen cast the spell. The world around them stopped, leaves suspended in the air, waves frozen mid. Inside that perfect second, they lived on. Centuries passed while the rest of the world moved forward. Empires rose and fell. Oceans shifted. Mountains crumbled, but within that eternal second, Karen and Lyra laughed, wept, and loved endlessly. When the spell finally broke, time caught them gently. The moment continued, but they were gone, leaving behind only a ripple in history.
Some say that ripple appears as déjà vu, the sense that time pauses when two destined souls meet.
Scholars call it the lover's pause, a trace of the lovers who hid in time, who turned one fleeting moment into eternity.